Welcome back to Midday Kentucky. We have Becca Self here, Executive Director over at Food Chain. And you guys are doing a wonderful work connecting the community with fresh food. So we wanted to bring you in here today to tell us about it. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks so much for having me.
So people who are not familiar with Food Chain, give us a little backstory and what you guys are doing now.
Okay, so we are a nonprofit. We're unique to Lexington. We're actually located in the Bread Box, so in downtown Lexington, on former Rainbow Bread Factory, also the home of Wessex Brewing. Our mission is to forge new links to fresh food within the community. So we want to get people to have increased access. There's really limited access in that neighborhood, but also to have education and examples of how they can get involved with fresh food.
So what are some of the impacts that you're having on the community right now? I said you're helping farm food, but you're teaching people what to do with fresh food as well.
Right. So we kind of do a lot of different things. So education is our bread and butter. That's what we really are trying to get out there. So we have an indoor aquaponics farm. We're the first in the state. We've harvested over 5,000 pounds of fish and greens out of that farm in our last 4 years. But the bigger thing for us is just how many people we've educated. So we've had almost 9,000 visitors that have come through. We work with the public schools to help get aquaponics set up in their classrooms. And then we also do more and more work around food preparation. So cooking classes, and are in the process actually of building a kitchen.
And how are you funded?
So as a nonprofit, we kind of everything.
Okay.
So individual contributions have been a huge portion to us, particularly when we were getting off the ground 4 years ago. We've gotten some grants, some foundational gifts. We've had a lot of corporate support. And then we're actually really fortunate because we grow and sell food, we actually can provide a portion of our own operating costs through the sale of those products.
So for people thinking about maybe making a personal donation, talk to us about the need here in our community in Lexington. We talked a little bit in the break about food deserts, people not having access to those fresh foods. Tell us what that is and kind of what the need is here in our community.
Yeah, so, obviously we know that people are hungry, but what that hunger looks like is sometimes hard to identify. The neighborhood that we are a part of is actually a designated food desert, which means that you have a large population that's living below the poverty line, so limited resources, but there's also not a grocery store around. So while there's fast food, there's convenient marts, there's not a lot of fresh food, and that's where we typically get our fresh food from, is from grocery stores. So what Food Chain is trying to do is not only work with many other organizations to increase access to that fresh food, but also to follow behind with education. Right? So how do you prepare fresh food? How can you potentially grow fresh food? How could you tie your economic impact to fresh food? So could you get a job in a local food system? So there's a lot of different ways that you can connect in fresh food, and it's also a really wonderful way of getting to know your neighbors. Sharing home-cooked meals, that's a lot of what we try and do. So there's a lot of good feeling that comes from fresh food, so we want to promote that in the community.
So if people want to come see you, I know you said you're in the Bread Box.
We are.
So can people shop there, or what does that look like inside a Bread Box?
So the biggest way to come and see Food Chain is actually come for a tour.
Okay.
So we do tours of our farm as well as talking about the rest of our mission every Saturday at 1 p.m. And then we actually schedule private tours at various different other times. We've had about 200 field trips that have come through. Oh. In order to actually consume our food, the best way to do that is actually the restaurant that is next door to us, which is Smithtown Seafood. Oh, okay. They're a separate business, but they are the main buyer of a lot of the food that we grow. And if you look at their menu, you'll see called out where they're using Food Chain ingredients. So people can also go online and check out our website for more information. It's foodchainlex.org. And we're all over social media as well with Food Chain Lex. So hopefully we can get people to find us when they're looking for us.
That'd be great. Well, let us know again one more time your website and how can people get involved in volunteering.
Sure. So our website is foodchainlex.org. There's a little tab on there of signing up to volunteer. We have a lot of educational outreach that we're always using volunteers for, so helping to spread the word, to talk to other people about why this is important work. And then, like I mentioned, we're at Food Chain Lex on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram as well.
All right, Becca Self, thanks so much for coming in.
We appreciate
all the work you're doing.
Thanks so much.